Welcome to the Hybrid Soul with Kelly Kinkaid, your destination for music and culture discovery. My guest today is an important person. She is a seasoned executive business consultant who offers a fresh approach to professional styling. Her clientele is impressive, working with Fortune 500 companies all over the world and more. Her book, The Power Dressers, A Women's Guide to Professional Styling, is a must have guide for women looking to make powerful statements with their attire in the workplace. She is so necessary. I'm so glad that she made this book. Welcome to the show, Michele Grant. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me on the Hybrid Soul.
Yes, you are welcome. I said you were needed. I want to know about your background, but I want to talk about just the congratulations on the book. When we talk
Thank
about
you.
professional styling, in your opinion, uh, what's been the difference post COVID with styling and people in the workplace?
I can tell you one of the things that COVID did give us is a sense of relaxation where we could take
Yeah.
a step back, take a breather, and say, okay, maybe we don't need to be all fully buttoned up all the
Right.
time, 100% of the time. But then, it also gave us an understanding of what does this virtual space look like, right? And
Hmm.
having to navigate that and still do business and proceed on, right? Sharing our value and doing the necessary things that we need to do in our careers
Right.
virtually and in this hybrid fashion. And so I think from a styling and fashion perspective, it really took us probably a little bit a step back from where we were originally, and
Hmm.
then also opened up a new sense of style and how we can express ourselves and approach our professional arenas with maybe a more authentic way of doing things and a little bit more flexibility in
Right.
our styling choices.
Yeah, I love that. How did you get into where you are now, being a styling, a executive coach? How did you migrate to that? What's your beginnings?
So I started many years ago, I would say about 2 decades ago in technology. And I started off as an internet marketer in media. And then I moved into consulting in technical delivery and delivering digital transformation programs within large companies. And
Hmm.
I've had exposure in many industries from banking and finance to advertising technology, luxury retail, and even most recently, entertainment, insurance, and telecommunications. And I can say that over the time of my career, one thing that outside of what I was doing program management wise, I always was asked, how can I provide advice and access to how I show up so consistently in my professional style and my attire and how I present in these different spaces in and outside of the office. We're talking about from team building, weekends and weeks and conferences, as well as holiday parties. And I found that in that, I would always give, advice that goes beyond what the brand is that you're wearing,
Hmm.
right? Advice that goes into really find what works for you and communicates who you want to be and how you want to show up and how can you do that consistently. Um, finding that authentic aspect to it was
Right.
really my advice. And then at one point, after I started getting asked to do lunch and learns
Uh huh.
on styling accessories and choosing bags and all these things, I said, you know what? I'm going to put pen to paper and do some research about it and actually build it into a more formal
Right.
body of work. And so about 8 years ago, yes, it took me a bit. I definitely decided that I was going to put it into a book format and started writing.
I love that. So, Michele, we could really call you. I feel like you someone who love clothes. You are a fashion
Yeah.
killer.
Yes. Listen, it's an intentional space where, I'm
Right.
taking an intentional, conscientious approach to
Right.
that aspect of who I am. Yes,
Right. And who
consistently. And I
where
say
did
that repeatedly because that's important.
yes, where did that come from? Family, your mom, a aunt, a grandmother? Where did that
Was,
come from? The love of
was. That's a good thing. I would say both my mother and my father in different ways.
uh-huh.
My father is very meticulous in his attire, right? So he is going to wear the blazer to, the birthday parties and all the things. So he's very
Right.
meticulous, very conscientious. And then my mother, I would say, gave me the sense of fashion in that she showed up authentically no matter where she was in where she was a pharmacist, a doctor of pharmacy. And even though
Uh-huh.
she had to wear the white coat and so forth and so on, she would still show up in her heels and her dresses and her blazers and all the things that, she felt communicated her professionalism and who she was authentically as a professional woman. And so I always admired that and stood out. It was her differentiator. And I
Right.
think I took that to heart and translated it to what I do and who I am.
That is amazing. So it comes from the heart. You have over 20 years experience doing this and the book came about. So tell me about the process of putting this book together because it's laid out very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so when I started to look into publishing and being an author, I found, there are many different options in terms of how we want to release our work into the world and decided that I was just going to own the full process.
Yeah.
Um, I own my own publishing company. Several family members, including my husband, have published through the publishing company. And so ownership is also a very important aspect to what we do in every area of our lives. And so I decided not only I wanted to own the full process. And so from nuts to bolts, I created the work and the final product that you see today.
Love it.
Um, Going out, finding the right experts for everything down to the branding, the style of the cover, everything was very, very intentional,
Yeah.
very well thought out, and reaching out to the best people that I could find to assist and help through the process. So having control of that creative
Yeah.
process is very important.
Yeah.
I think, and that I took it very seriously. So that I would say was a unique approach that I took to it.
Job well done. Let's talk about this book. I love the chapters. I would like to just start on, I think this is important. And I'm going to skip around dressing for your body type. As a consultant, what made this chapter important to put in this book?
Because it is important to understand that as we're not in fashion, so to speak. As
Mhm.
professional women, we're representing all different shapes, sizes, and everything, right? Because what we're bringing our value is not based on that. It's not based on our exterior. So we're now broadening the scope in fashion, and what does that really mean for you developing your own personal style? And so
Right.
where you really want to start is your body type, right? And then embracing that unique aspect and saying, okay, for my body type, this is how I am going to build out everything around it to
Mhm.
show my highlights in the areas that I want to highlight in its best light.
Yeah. It's interesting because I guess my first question is how have you worked with different clients and they have resistance to clothes that you know that look better on them, like their what do you say, the body type? How did you address that? I'm sure are there any antidotes or funny stories or something in this book that you talk about?
Interesting. So interestingly enough, I am not necessarily a coach stylist where I'm working individually with people to kind of get them to that, at least not yet. That's not
Yes.
what we
Yes.
do. But in the advice that I share, I definitely share based on their body type, whether they're pear shaped or apple shaped. I
Mhm.
can visually say, this is what I would do. I have friends across industries from entertainers all the way to and colleagues all the way to media personalities. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I've always explained was depending on your body type, you're going to want to show and utilize it to your advantage. So what does that mean? If you are very small on top and you have a rounder bottom is in a pear shaped, what
Mhm.
is that going to look like in terms of the attire you're going to choose, right? We don't want to do bring attention to the lower part. So we're going to highlight you have the ability to wear shirts that have all the ruffles, that have bright colors and patterns on top to really balance that shape. And then having fun with that and taking it and running with it. I think that is really the key is to say, okay, where are my strengths? And then how am I going to delve into that and really expand it and bring attention to that area?
I love it. I love it. When you work with your clients, what tell me like 3 of the goals that you have and how does that apply in the book? Like, what are the 3 things that you do, like
Yes,
your mission?
when I'm on um, uh, working with a client, of course, I'm there as an executive consultant. So I'm coming in and really the number one thing is to from the beginning, the perception that they should have is that of trust,
Mhm.
capability, and confidence. Those are the 3 from the beginning that I'm establishing, and I'm not just establishing that in how I'm interacting with the client, I'm establishing that in how I show up, how I like my attire, right? That includes not only your clothing, but your grooming. It includes your footwear, it includes your accessories. It's going to include the type of colors you're going to choose for different meetings, who you're going to be interacting with, and then using all of these elements to get the outcome and the engagement that you're looking for. And I would say my um, goal usually is to ensure that they understand I am the best person to work with for this
Mhm.
particular role and for this particular job. Yes, there are others that you may have interacted with, but there's something different about me. That power dresser element is what is going to shine through and is going to make a determination into your future interactions with me. And so that would be my main number one goal. I would say secondly, when I give advice, and it can vary in
Mhm.
the different areas. You're showing up this way, whether you're on the golf course, whether you're playing tennis. We have so many aspects to our lives. We're dynamic women, and when we get invited to other events, whether it's a luncheon, a gala, there should be a consistency that when you see me, you say, "Oh, I know so and so, Kelly is going to be a stunner. She is going to show up and give us the confidence I can see it, I know it, I expect it. That is the goal that we're going for. And so what does that mean when you're going into other environments, when you're dealing with others, or you have an interview or you have something where you're not necessarily in the office, but you want to communicate that same professionalism and confidence. And so that is the parts that I hone in on
Yeah.
as well. And then
Go ahead.
yes,
Yes. No, no.
and then lastly is, you know, how are we being conscientious in our pursuit of this consistency, right? I have a whole chapter on sustainability and really understanding what that means to be eco-conscious. I do think it's important. Why? Because as dynamic women, we're doing so much. We can run through a wardrobe in a 2 month period of time, right? But does that necessarily mean that we are not being conscientious about what the brands are doing to ensure that resources are being used the right way, we're treating the environment well? Do we want to say that we are wearing an eco-conscious brand if we are asked what we're wearing? Do we want to be able to say, I don't shop for a new item every time I need to go somewhere. I might rent it. There are other options. And so I talk about that in the book as well.
Yeah. Um, you made me think of a couple of questions. And I want to go back to I asked about just the environment being changed after COVID. Do you feel now in these corporate company settings that it's kind of like downsize and sneakers are okay for everyone now, or for women, should we be wearing heels?
That's a great question. I do talk about that in the book. I think that as a professional woman, you may be able to wear sneakers, but do you want to wear sneakers is the question,
Mm.
right? Is that going to be your style and how you feel you're going to be a differentiator? So if everyone on your floor and in the office are able to wear sneakers, that's what's most comfortable. You might, but you might not do it every day. You might do it on a Friday, or
Mhm.
you might do it when you're going out off site. It really depends, but I can tell you this: the professional uh, way of dressing is not a one-stop shop, right? We're
Okay.
going to have variations of it. So you're
Mhm.
you're not going to say, "Oh, I'm not wearing sneakers," at all because I have a professional style that doesn't include that unless that's your approach. I think there is variations to it. I just think it needs to be appropriate and it's based on the industry that you're in. If
Okay.
you're in tech and you're at a startup and that is really the culture of the company, that should be taken into consideration because we want to show that we are on the pulse of what is happening. We embrace the culture of where we work and it's part of our delivery as well.
Okay. Okay. I love that answer. Let's talk about colors. A lot of people have changed, being on the East Coast, black, black is a very popular color, but you in your chapter for the colors, embracing the psychology and the power of color and professional setting. What is that chapter about?
Oh, that chapter is so, so crucial.
Yeah.
Really understanding how you can change the mood of a room and
Mm,
the emotions and how people are digesting your involvement, what you're saying, how you're moving through the room, and how you're gaining the energy that you're looking for. Right, there is a certain energy in certain colors. There is a stance on um, how I even perceive your trustworthiness through the
mm,
colors that you might be wearing. And so I give examples of what those colors mean and what they usually evoke from a psychological standpoint. But then also understanding how it might make you feel. Someone wearing navy or wearing a navy suit versus a yellow suit, you're going to be more relaxed versus more confident and more assertive in a navy suit. And those elements are important to understand because they're subtle. They're not overt, right? These are nonverbal communication aspects that you really want to consider when you're dressing and showing up in a professional way.
So, Michelle, if you saw me and we're doing a consultation, and I'm saying, Michelle, I'm looking for a new job. Um, and I know I have all this different experience, but I want to move into something else. What color would you tell me to wear?
Well, the first thing I would ask is what are you looking to move into when you say something else? And the second thing I would ask is what is um, the environment, the location, and how you're going to be interacting because it will determine the colors
Hmm.
that you should wear. So if you're going on an interview, you're interviewing for a cosmetic company, you
Hmm.
might want to wear something that is in line with what their brand color is. You might want to
Wow.
consider you might want to consider wearing a color that speaks more to the demographic or age demographic that they're appealing to, right? So if they're a younger brand, you might want to look at colors that are more appealing to younger women that are using their cosmetic products. And so it can get very much specific to the environment and then when it comes to how you want to show up, if it's an interview and you really want to show, I have, this more creative flair because we're in a creative space, but I'm also very assertive. And the role that I'm going for is going to be leading others, then
Yeah.
I'm most likely going to wear something that is more conservative and then pair it with something that is a little bit more fun and daring, maybe in your shoes, your handbag, or an accessory that gives it a little bit of more of a pop.
Wow. My intro, I said that you are an important person. This is true. Oh my goodness. So anyone
Thank
who
you.
thinks that I have a job interview and I'm just going to wake up and just put on something of how I feel, they're going,
No, you have to read this book because it's the content. It is a journey, a true journey, and it's going to
right,
take you from beginning to end to
right.
really start to think differently about this.
Okay. I love that. I'm laughing because it's like you just can't say, oh, I was scrubbing with Caress soap and I'm just what color is the soap? I'm gonna wear pink today.
That is not what we're doing. The power dresser in you is going to say, so let me sit down and put some thought to this.
I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk about the importance of the first impression.
Mhm.
We just joked about the color power, but it's very important. What do you talk about in this book about the first impression?
Mm. I talk about first impressions being the catalyst to engagement, in the going forward.
Hmm.
It really is your visual resume. And you have about 8 to 10 seconds to set that tone.
Yeah.
And I provide studies. I did the research and just seeing that this is scientifically proven to be the case, that people are assessing your attire, how you dress, and making initial determinations about you and how they want to further engage with you very, very early on and very quickly. And the one thing about first impressions is that they're very quick to form, but they're very difficult to change. And so when you
Wow.
have that opportunity, the key is to do your very best to present it in the way that you want the outcomes that you're looking for. And so, yes, you have a journey, hopefully working with um, those particular people within your career, whether you're on a program or project or you're getting a new job or you're working within a particular department. Hopefully, you will have multiple opportunities. But I can tell you that first impressions are going to be the most impactful and the most long lasting.
Wow. Absolutely. Um, this book is geared to women, but a question, when you do your consulting, what's the difference between consulting with the man and the woman?
Interestingly enough, I do think that, I might not get, can you give me the fashion advice? Can you share a little bit about how you do this from the male colleague or counterpart?
Uh-huh.
But what I can tell you is that you'll get a response, that consistent response that you're looking for, and
Mhm.
the sheer confidence that you get from interacting with them, that trustworthiness that you're looking for, you really will see the difference in their responses to you. You might even get, the comments, I talk about it in my book, where they'll say, the one thing we can depend on is knowing that you're going to be the leader in the room, or you're going to be consistent in how you show up, for client
Yeah.
meetings, etc. And so you get that um, initial, I think, uh, confidence and interaction that you're looking for. But then over the period of time, you'll realize that it really has shaped and formed how they perceive you and how they really work with you.
Mhm. I love that. Uh, Before I let you go, I would love to talk about the grand finale because
Yes.
there's a difference. There's a lot of people who may love clothes but can't put it together and they don't
Yes.
exude power. I want to talk about your grand finale from style novices to power dressers.
Mhm. So the grand finale is when you get to the point of understanding, when you wake up and you look at your wardrobe, you, first of all, love the majority of what you have in your closet. Number one, it speaks to not only who you are today, but what your aspirations are. Where do you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? You are dressing that person. You are that person in terms of your attire today. So you're already planning for your future, and you are in a place of complete comfort and authenticity in how you show up and the response and engagement that you get from that.
Mhm.
You're frequently regarded as a leader and mature in your space. And you yourself, your confidence is different in how you get dressed and how you show up from a style perspective every day.
Yeah.
You understand how to show up in different environments, right? So if you have to go on a yacht for a sail for, 4th of July, or you need to go and play golf with your colleagues or play tennis, you know exactly what is needed. You've gone through that journey and you understand, even if you're at a resort or you're traveling to an office in another country, you understand how to show up and be your best self.
Right. Uh, I'm curious about the title of your book. I love it
Yes,
because I
thank
love the
you.
word power, because you could have named this book The Dressers.
For sure.
Let's talk
Went
about
through it.
how you got the title of this book and what's the importance of being a power dresser.
Oh, the title was, I'm telling you, in of itself, the selection. It's funny you say that. It is it is really bringing your power to bear and bringing who you are, understanding your power and bringing it out in a visual sense through dressing and attire. And so sometimes we can get further away from what it is that we're really looking, to do and communicate. And I woke up one day and I just said, you know what? We're talking about dressing, and we need to talk about the destination that this journey is taking you on. So when you go through this journey, who do you become in the end? What do you become in the end? So you're some type of improved, new and improved and impactful dresser. But what is it that we're really communicating? And it's our inner power. That's
Mhm.
really what we're communicating through style. And we've never really opened that up for conversation before as professional or aspiring professional women. And so we talk about, the power of education, which is important. We talk about the power of public speaking and being able to articulate, who we are, what we do. We even talk about the power of networking sometimes. I'm almost naming all of the books that will come after this.
I was going to
That
say
is so
these are
much serious right there that
volumes.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Like, wait a minute, this is a volume, an entire volume, serious. Okay. All of it is trademark. So the key was, what is it you will be
Mhm.
an impactful dresser, but we're bringing our power to bear. And so I said, let's keep it short, let's keep it simple. The power dressers would be the
Yes.
ideal. Yes.
Great title. Great title. I love this book. I told you it's
Thank you.
necessary because
Yes.
style keeps on changing over and over,
Yes.
and I just feel like you changed your definition of style for self just continues to evolve. And I appreciate this book. I love that you've given some key advice. And I want people to support this book. And it's a chapter that's very important: learning the nonverbal and cultural languages of professional attire. That's important. That when you get this book, you really need to stay focused and really pay attention to it because it was some very necessary gems. Um, how do you deal with that when you're consulting with different people that may have come from a different cultural background, like in New York, because we have such a
Hmm.
pool of different cultural backgrounds. How do you advise and consult then with people?
Well, the number one aspect to the diversity in culture is embracing it. How can we embrace it in a respectful way? And in a way where it is clear that we are honoring the cultural nuances, but then we're also very knowledgeable about how we want to portray that in a stylistic way. And
Yeah.
so, really doing the background research, understanding what symbols. A particular culture might be using, or how it is perceived in that culture, understanding what different colors might mean in that culture, when you're in an environment where you might be working in a company where they're predominantly of one particular culture, one religion,
Hmm.
etc., or there are things that there are elements to that culture that are a predominant um, way to the germane to how they do business and how they
Yeah.
communicate. I think it's great when you're able to learn that and embrace it and intertwine it into your style if you're visiting that country or you're working within the company. But also, it's what to avoid, right? What to avoid. What should we not be doing? What should we not misappropriate
Hmm.
and being conscientious. And that is one way of embracing it and being conscientious because it also shows our leadership as professionals is that we are aware. We're always on the pulse of what is happening around us, right? And we take it to heart. We take it seriously, and you will see it actually in action when we're
Yeah.
working with you.
I love it. Well, congratulations on this book because it's doing very well. Very
Yes,
well.
it
So
is.
and
It
that
is.
is a blessing, a blessing. How can
Yeah.
people reach you if they would like to use your services and talk more about the book? What's the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is via email. I am on all social media
Okay.
platforms. Um, I am available on my email address is media@powerdressers.com. My website is www.powerdressers.com. And all of my handles in social media is the Power Dresser. So very easy to find.
Thank you. Well, go get this book, The Power Dressers, A Woman's Guide to Professional Style. Our author is Michele Grant. Thank you for joining the Hybrid Soul. Until next time.